When you know that and believe it, you start finding yourself coming on up out of the condition that you're in. Is that right? So ain't nowhere in the world I can thank Allah for Master Farad Muhammad, thank him for the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and thank him for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But then when it come time for the man that acquainted me with these men, not thank Allah for that man? No, that is crazy. That's hypocrisy, brothers and sisters. That's not keeping it real. All praise is due to Allah. So, this brother right here is acquainting us with the Lamb of God. This brother right here is connecting us on with our Savior. I don't know about you, but I need to be connected on with the Savior. I don't have a light of myself, but I know in him I got a light. Let's bring our beautiful brother up with a warm round of applause. Put your hands together for Brother Minister Nuri Muhammad. All praise is due to Allah. Thank you very much. You need me to sign him right now?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, family. Before we start, let's give Brother Minister Reggie a round of applause for the powerful words of insight. All praise are due to Allah. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is indeed, without a shadow of a doubt, the messenger of God. We thank Allah for his intervention in our affairs in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And we thank him most for the intervention in raising up an example for black people. A man that made Muhammad Ali. A man that made Louis Farrakhan. A man that made Worth Dean. A man that brought birth to the Black Panther Party. If there was not for the supreme idea of black supremacy in God from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, there never would have been any talk about black people doing something for self in the nationalist movement. We thank Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who also made a man named Malcolm X. We are eternally grateful in this hour that we live in today for us being blessed with a divine reminder. For those of us that had the message but forgot the message, we thank Allah for that divine reminder. For those of us that never received the message, we needed the message. So we thank Allah for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It's in their names that I greet you in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum. Today we are taking on a very controversial subject titled Malcolm X, What Really Happened. Before we began to make this discussion, we want to make it clear that when Malcolm was in the Nation of Islam working on behalf of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we love that man. That's right. Is that right? That's right. He was the one that turned the language from Mr. Muhammad to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He was the one that decided to initiate the Muhammad Speaks newspaper. Instead of us writing a weekly article from the Messenger in the Pittsburgh Courier, he said, let's start our own newspaper. Is that right? Malcolm X, a great spokesperson for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, would go and search the map and find cities, towns, nooks and crannies wherein the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was not yet established. And he would go and spend days and weeks sometime in those realities until there was a temple coming in the very near future. That's right. Is that right? Yes, sir. None of us are qualified to judge Malcolm. That's right. Is that right? That's right. For Malcolm X has in truth raised more people and brought more people into the nation dead than many of us have brought in while we are alive. Is that right? Malcolm X was a great black man. Malcolm X was a powerful black man. Malcolm X was a courageous black man. Well, Malcolm X was a studied, a learned, and intelligent black man. Is that right? However, we in the nation have a problem. When you take a man like Malcolm that is wise, that is intelligent, that is courageous, that is bold, and not give credit to the man that made him all of that, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we got a problem with that. Some people have the nerve to say that I like Malcolm, but I don't really like Elijah Muhammad. That's like saying that you like an apple, but you don't like the tree that produced the apple. You like the citrus taste of an orange, but you don't like the tree that produced the orange. Malcolm X was not made by himself. That man was manufactured by a Georgia-born black man that met with God face to face and taught and raised Malcolm. If you look at the names of the great students of Malcolm, you will find that in their name is the conversion process right in the name. Here you got a man that is now known as Muhammad Ali. He was known as Cassius Clay. Is that right? And if he had not met the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he would have been nothing more than a great boxer in the ring. But it was the teachings of Elijah Muhammad that made him stand up against the government of America. It was the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that he said, I'm not going over there to Vietnam to fight my brown brother. He said, ain't no Viet Cong ever called me no nigga. You didn't get that from your trainer in the boxing ring. You didn't get that from your damn cut man, Muhammad Ali. You got that intelligence, insight, and courage from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. All praises are due to Allah. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad took a man by the name of Cassius Clay. The Holy Quran says that I, Allah, created man from sounding clay. Clay that can talk, but clay that don't know nothing. Clay that got a lot to say, but ain't got nothing to say. A clay that got a mouth but don't have nothing in his head to speak nothing with. That's how Muhammad Ali was. He was a man that talked a lot, had a lot to say, but didn't have nothing in his head to marry with what he wanted to say. But it was a man by the name of Elijah Muhammad that took a piece of sounding Cassius Clay and began to mold him in the shape and breathe into that sounding clay of his own spirit. And Cassius Clay became Muhammad Ali, known all over the world. He went to the rumble in the jungle, didn't he? To fight George Foreman. George Foreman got off the plane with a German Shepherd. Didn't settle well with the Africans, because that was the same dog that the South African white people used to sick on the babies of the African people, used to sick on the African women of South Africa. So when George Foreman got off with that dog, they said, oh, there's something different about that Negro. Huh? Something wrong with that Negro. Here he is with a German Shepherd. Here he gets off the plane with fur on. Here he gets off the plane with a name like George Foreman. And they was like, man, he's a black man, he's wealthy, he's powerful, we want to support him, and we'll back him up. But then there was another man that got off another plane that was surrounded by black people with suits and bow ties on, surrounded by black men, clean shaven, upright, and dignified black men. And he didn't have a white man's slave master name. He got off the plane as Muhammad Ali. Didn't have no German Shepherd. He had a Holy Quran. They said, oh, a black black man with a Holy Quran, a black man with the name of God, a black man being supported and trained by black men. They said in South Africa, we will stand with Muhammad Ali, a man made from clay by Elijah Muhammad. Malcolm X was known as Detroit Red. He was a white woman lover. Yes, he was. He was a heroin addict. Is that right? If you love white women and you're a heroin addict, that turns you into a small man. So Elijah Muhammad found a man that had a slave named by the name of Malcolm Little. Huh? But while Malcolm Little was incarcerated, he began to pick up a message to the black man that had big wisdom inside of him. He picked up the fall of America that had big wisdom inside of it. And he began to digest the big wisdom of Elijah Muhammad's idea. And a man that was known as a heroin addict, a man that was a pimp, a man that was a white woman lover, went from being a little man made by the white man to being a big man made by Elijah Muhammad. All praise are due to Allah. They say, notice that they don't talk a lot about the books that he read in jail. They mention the dictionary a whole lot. No damn dictionary make you no great man. A book can't make you a great man. It is only a man that can interpret the book and live the book as an example that can make you into somebody. If books make people, what's wrong with the Muslim world? You got Muslims in the East that read the Holy Quran from cover to cover every 30 days. Some read it from cover to cover every 7 days. And out of all of that Quran reading, out of all of that memorization and recitation, some people have memorized the Holy Quran from one cover to the next, but after they recite Holy Quran, they smoke a cigarette. Huh? After they recite the Holy Quran, they beat their woman. Huh? How can you say that a book can change people's life when a book called Holy Quran, where there is no doubt in it, read, recited, memorized in its original language, is taught, but yet you can't get off your cigarette? You can't get off of the drugs. You can't stand up to George W. Bush. You can't stand up and unite with your own Muslim brethren. No, books don't save people. It is a man that can interpret the book and bring the wisdom of the book off the pages and begin manifested it in a real form. All praise is due to Allah. If books can save people, how come college people ain't righteous? All the reading that they do, they still is immoral as you gonna get. Am I telling the truth? Books don't make you no great man. No, interpretation of books and the example of a man is what makes you into a great man. Is that right? People say every time they are invited to come and be with us at the mosque, huh? There's a few big excuses that are always shot out there consistently. Number one on the chart is y'all don't believe in Jesus. How can you say we don't believe in Jesus? Yet everything that it is said that Jesus would do, we as Muslims are bearers of witness to that type of change. How could a man go from having no money in his pocket to having enough money to take care of himself and his family and ain't clocked in on a white man's job? How can a sister that has been run through by 100 damn men all of a sudden get dignified, upright, moral, virtuous, and and she dresses in a respectful way, a lover of God and a decent woman, you can't get that type of juice if you ain't met with Jesus. How can a man that been smoking dope for 20 damn years meet Elijah Muhammad's word for 20 minutes, and after that 20 minutes being under that word, he leaves and never smokes dope ever again in his life if we don't believe in Jesus? All praise is due to Allah. We have found the homeless man and we've cleaned him up. We have found the pimp and cleaned him up. We have taken the drug dealer and cleaned him up. Keep him with the same program, but put a new product in his hand. We take the drug user and connect him to Allah, the Most High God. And when he's connected to the Most High God, he needs no drugs ever again. I say to you Muslims, the solution to every problem that you and I are faced with is that we must believe in Allah. And if we believe in Allah, not some spook God, not some mystery God, not some divine piece of wind, but our Almighty God Allah in the person of Master Farad Muhammad and the God in you, there ain't nothing that can hold you down, black man and woman. All praises are due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. How do you say we don't believe in Jesus, yet we in America doing what Jesus did? Jesus did not live the way the Reverend lived. Jesus didn't teach what the Reverend teaches. Jesus didn't establish no damn choir in his church. You ain't never seen Jesus walking with his 12 disciples and he divided them up. This is the sopranos. These are my altos. This is the bass section. You ain't never seen Peter with no guitar. Thomas with a drum set. Huh? Matthew and Mark on the organ. There wasn't no fag disciple standing before the other disciples as a damn choir director. That's what Jesus did. He didn't do that stuff. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. Jesus didn't need no choir. He didn't need no tambourine. He didn't need no organ. He didn't need no drum set. The man's word was music. Huh? What made his word like music? It's because when courage and love is married together with the truth of God, when you can hear love and you can hear courage, and truth is inside of love and courage, it sounds better to you than the 808 kick drum. It sounds better to you than the cymbal on the drum. It sounds better than the tambourine because it's really real music to the soul that waters the God in you, that makes you an empowered human being. That's the way Jesus functioned. All praises are due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. Reverend is teaching what the white man approved. Jesus didn't teach a doctrine that was approved by the forces of evil of that time. King Herod did not like Jesus. Well, if Bush liked your preacher, something ain't right. Huh? Caesar did not like Jesus. But if the president likes your reverend, something ain't right. Is that right? The Jews didn't like Jesus. But if the Jews like your church, I'm telling you, something ain't right. You don't judge a man by the friends that he has. When you judge a man by his enemies. Anybody that is like somebody in the past will have the same enemies in the present. And when you look at the enemies of Jesus, number one on the list was the president of his time. Number two was the government of the time. Number three was the soothsayers, the enchanters of his time. Number four was the Pharisees and Sadducees. Number five have was the scribes. Scribes are the reporters. Pharisees and Sadducees was two Jewish political camps that manipulated the government of the time. Herod was the president. Is that right? The soothsayers and magicians represented the Congress and the Senate and the preachers of that time that taught the religion of Pharaoh and Herod in the name of God and Jesus. I say that you don't find a man that lives up to that better than the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. The scribes don't like you. The Jews don't like you. The government don't like you. The president don't like you. You are looking at a man that lives Jesus better than any reverend walk in the city. Is that right? Number 2 on the list after that is y'all killed Malcolm. Is that right? May I ask you a question? Not being disrespectful to you or to Malcolm, but what damn difference does it make? You don't say a damn thing to America, the nation of America. If somebody commits treason and they wipe them off the earth, you don't say nothing to America. If America finds a traitor in their ranks and gets rid of them, well, we are an independent nation that follow the law of God. And the same way that every civilized nation has the right to protect the whole damn individual, we've got the right, if you are a traitor, a stool pigeon, a turncoat, a hypocrite, an enemy, we got the right to wipe your ass off the face of the planet Earth. All praise is due to Allah. We got that right as a civilized nation. How can you even put that out there as an excuse? The Ku Klux Klan claimed to be Christians. They didn't kill one, they killed thousands of your ancestors. That ain't stopped you from going to church. The skinheads didn't kill one, but thousands of your ancestors. That ain't stopped you from reading your Bible. Is that right? John Hawkins said he was a Christian. He stole you from Africa and brought you to America. Willie Lynch said he was a Christian. He turned black men and women against one another, murdered us wholesale, made us slaves. That ain't stopped you from going to Sunday school. Well, if you're willing to go to church, read your Bible, and participate in Sunday school, yet the Klan, the skinheads, the night riders, the lynchers, and the slave masters of our people all claim Christianity, then what do you look like? Holding us accountable for the death of one man as a justification for not participating in what is right and exact. You don't do it with the white man, don't try that with us. All praise is due to Allah. Turn this up. Secondly, where did you learn the information? Who told you that we killed Malcolm? Huh? The Holy Quran says it like this: when an unrighteous person brings you news, look carefully into it, lest you harm an innocent one out of ignorance and regret what you did. Is that right? You got that from the white man, didn't you? You got it from your history books. You got it off the news channels, didn't you? Well, I'm asking you a question. Is the people on television righteous people? Well, if unrighteous people brought you the news that we killed Malcolm, look carefully into it, lest you harm an innocent people and regret what you did. Is that right? You say, no, I didn't get that from the white man. I got it from Spike Lee's movie, Malcolm X. And Spike Lee is a black man on the outside. There are plenty of black people that are brown on the outside. Huh? But ain't necessarily that on the inside. Huh? They call them Uncle Toms. They call them Oreo cookies. They call them handkerchief-headed Negroes. See, Oreo is black on the outside, but white on the inside. A handkerchief is generally white. A handkerchief-headed Negro is a white-thinking Negro. Huh? They call these type of people Uncle Toms or Uncle Remuses. If you're a female, you call her Aunt Jane. Uncle Tom, Uncle Remus, and Aunt Jane are the enemies of black people. They are more of an enemy to black people than the white man is. Because they look like they're your friend, your brother, and your comrade. They look like they're your sister in the struggle. Yet in their heart is a disease. In their heart is an evil machination. Wherein their will and motivation for what they do is to destabilize an entire movement of people. The Remus is more supreme than the Tom. Huh? And Uncle Tom is a Negro that needs to have master present. Huh? To do the bidding of master. And Uncle Tom is someone that has to receive an instruction to do the bidding of his enemy. But Remus is supreme. Remus does the bidding of the master when the master ain't even in the same city. Uncle Remus does the bidding of the master off of a suggestion. He don't need no instruction. He just hears that it's thought about that the master would like. And Uncle Remus immediately begins his buck dance. Huh? Tom needs help. He has to be nudged on. He has to make sure his conduct is witnessed so that he might be able to leave the chitlins alone and get a ham sandwich. And that was not a misspelling of words. That was an intentional error. The CH should be replaced with the SH. That's what they really are. The chitlin is the large intestine that houses the defecation of the pig. Huh? What did they smell like when Grandmama and them was cooking them? Huh? Eating chitlins is like taking a plastic bag, filling it with defecation, dumping the defecation out, boiling the bag, and eating the bag. The Uncle Tom wanted to upgrade from the chitlin to the ham sandwich. Boy, don't y'all let the white man trick you. At the health food store, they got hog. How the hell you gonna have a health food store selling swine? Man said that when he was buying it, he said, oh no, this is a finer grade of that pork. He showed me on the label, it said that these pigs were vegan fed. These pigs were fed wheatgrass. So you eating a vegetarian pig, a pig that ate wheatgrass, and it made the pig better and stronger. Well, hell, if it made the pig better and stronger, why not just drink the wheatgrass and eat the vegetables yourself? Feeding a pig wheatgrass and on a vegan diet, all it does is it makes the trichina worms stronger than they used to be. A healthy trichina worm. A trichina worm that lived longer than the other worm is still all natural death. Is that right? Spike Spike Lee may have made the movie, but who made the movie to be made by Spike Lee? When a movie is shown, we are always remembers of the actors and actresses. Is that right? We may even remember the director. Right? But the person that is most significant in the making of a movie, we see the credit roll, but we never remember who they are. That's right. That's called the executive producer. The executive producers are the ones that put up the money to make the movie. Spike Lee's executive producer was Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers are Jews. Why would the Jew make a good, truthful depiction of a man named Malcolm X? When Malcolm X said, when he was teaching, that out of all the devils, the Jew is the worst devil. Why would you make a true movie about a man that called your people the worst devil that ever lived? That's a good question to ask. Then when you look at the amount of money that they gave Spike Lee, the Jews gave Spike Lee $30 million. It's in the Bible. The whole fall, rise, and death of Malcolm is been recorded in the scripture in advance. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said in the Fall of America, page 2, justice is a common thing, yet it is elusive. You listening? Yes, sir. Men have sought its meaning and substance since time began. Plato shrugged that justice was nothing more than the wish of the strongest member of society. A dumb devil, Plato. How in the hell is that justice? The will of the strongest member in society. Okay, since he's the most powerful one, whatever he says goes. All right, that's justice. That don't make sense. Jesus equated justice with brotherhood. Can roll with that. Shakespeare saw it as a matter of mercy. I am here to tell you, that's the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talking, that justice is the eventual working out of the will of God as indicated in the fundamental principles of truth. Justice is the antithesis of wrong, the weapon God will use to bring judgment upon the world, the purpose and consummation of his coming. So justice is the eventual working out of the will of God. So what looks to be unjust now, when the eventual will is worked out, you might see, aha, now I see why it happened. During the time of the rise and fall and death of Malcolm, nobody could understand what was going on because it was an elusive thing. But justice is not the demand of the strongest person in society. Justice is not just mercy. Is that right? Justice is the eventual working out of the will of God. So what looks like something in one era of time becomes something different in another era of time. Malcolm was set up by God for everything that he went through. His rise, his fall, and his assassination, God had something to do with it. We are people that don't like seeing God's hand in things. Is that right? We want to try to say it's so-and-so's fault. It's such and such's fault. If it wouldn't be for this person, if it wasn't for that situation. But there's no soul that dies without Allah's permission. So at the end of the day, when somebody dies that you love, if you stay in sorrow and grief, then you are now questioning God. The Honorable Louis Farrakhan said, when someone you love dies, cry once. That's fine. He said, cry twice. But if you cry 3 times, he said, now you are involved in grief. And grief is criticism of God. Y'all didn't hear that formula. Cry once, cry twice. But if you cry 3 times, now you are criticizing God, saying God don't know what the hell he's doing. Y'all all right? Yes, sir. And for the believer there is no fear. That's right. Nor shall they grieve. That's right. Is that right? Yes, right? The eventual working out of the will of God was the death of Malcolm X. Yes, we see the shooter. We see the outfit of the shooter. We see the situation and circumstances around the death of a man. But we don't see the overall hand of God on all of those events. But look at it, black man and woman. Everything we are experiencing today can be found in the Bible and in the Holy Quran. Is that right? The Holy Quran says that in this book are similitudes of every kind. That means every type of person, every situation is in the book Holy Quran. Both Bible and Quran are called scriptures. A script is a pre-recorded document that dictates people, places, and events in advance. Is that right? Yes, before a play is ever on stage, the script was written. Before a movie ever was on the big screen, the script was written. The script is studied in advance of the activity of a play or a movie. Likewise, the Bible and Holy Quran are scripts written by God, wherein you and I get a chance to, in advance, read what we are to do before the time comes to actually do it. So when you read about Jesus' betrayal, you're really reading about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It was written in advance. 75% of what you read about Jesus is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Take it or let it alone. In mathematics, there's a law in mathematics called the law of probability that gives you a chance to compare 2 objects with one another. And when you compare 2 objects, if you can find 12 or more details in each object parallel with the other object you are judging, then you are looking at the same object. When you take the 12 things or more that Jesus did and compare it to the working of Elijah Muhammad, if I want to prove that Elijah Muhammad is the Jesus of the Bible, all I have to do is compare him to the Jesus that is written of. And if I can find 12 or more details that are parallel in the work of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad with Jesus, then I'm looking at the same person, but only in a different era of time. Jesus made the blind see. So did the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You say, well, you know, he didn't make the blind see like Jesus did. That's because you live in a cartoon world. Huh? You live in a digital world when it comes to everything in life but God. As soon as it comes time for God, you go from digital rational world to Looney Tune. You know I'm telling the truth. You don't go down there and try to work no magic act to pay your light bill. You wake up in the morning, you clock in. You go to work, you get your check. You cash your check. You take the money down there. You give them your account number. You get a receipt for what you paid, and your lights stay on. But when it comes time to relate to God, to relate to religion, to relate to Jesus, to relate to spiritual world, you come with some cartoon mentality, and you that because Jesus is said to make blind see, that he literally is just walking around with some magic wand in his index finger. Huh? And just go forth. Next. What is wrong? Oh, you're deaf? Fine. Go forth. You can hear. Next. Oh, you can't talk. You're dumb? Go forth. You speak. Oh, you're a lame person. You can't walk? Teach that truth. Touch the knees. Stand up. Go forth. Walk. We spooky as hell. The Bible is written in poetic language. Parables, metaphors, similes. It didn't really happen like that. Notice when Jesus was healing the blind man, he asked the blind man, he said, how do you see men? Hell, if he's blind, he don't see them, period. Why are you asking, how do you see him? If he blind, blind. Blind like we think blind. And the blind man said, I see men as trees. Trees are on average of 100 feet tall. Man is on average 6 feet tall. Meaning I see man as being more powerful than what he really is. And it said that Jesus took spittle and wiped it on his eyes. And then asked the man, how now do you see men? He said, I see men as they are. Meaning that he was taught something. Spittle is what develops in your mouth as a white foam substance that comes when you are teaching the word. That's what develops in your mouth. So the spittle on the eyes was really a parable for Jesus was teaching this man. He taught him a new wisdom that made him to see men not as so powerful, not as so great, not as beyond comprehension, but he began to see men as they are. That's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did with us. He found a whole nation of people and asked you, Negro, how do you see the white man? He said, oh, the white man is great. The white man is powerful. The white man is Jesus. Hell, the white man might even be God. And he began to tell you, who is the colored man? The colored man is the Caucasian white man, or Yakub's grafted devil, the skunk of the planet Earth. Huh? And whenever you think, oh wait, I thought we was colored. No, he's colored. Because when you go to the store and buy boned fish, bone chicken is chicken and fish without the bones. If you got a colored man, you got a man without color, that's the white man. He's Yakub's grafted devil. He's a skunk of the planet Earth. Everywhere the white man go, he funks the civilization up. He leaves a terrible stench on every nation he touches. He messed up the Indian. He messed up the South African. He messed up the North African. He's over there right now messing up Iran and Iraq and Afghanistan. Everywhere he goes, he stinks the place up. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. Notice that a skunk is really a solid black animal. But somebody put a white stripe down the middle and divided up the black against the other side of the black. What has the white man done to us? He got you thinking Christian, Muslim, one side or the other. He got you thinking male and female, young and old. Is that right? Someone that work in McDonald's is less than the man that work at Lily's. I'm an Omega. I'm a Kappa. Is that right? I'm a nationalist. I'm a Hebrew Israelite. He's a skunk, black man and woman. He put a white stripe down the middle of a black body of people and divided one side of black against the other side of black. After you learned about who the colored man was, question is asked to the MGT and the FOI. How now do you see the white man? And we say we see the white man as he is. Yaqub's grafted devil. You ain't no damn tree. You ain't as great as you done made yourself. In fact, you are the byproduct of us. You only came on earth 6,000 years ago. But we've been here for trillions of years. Compare the time of white existence to the time of black existence, and it will be less than a second in a day. How fast does a second go in a day? That's how insignificant the time white folks have been on the earth is. That's spittle on your eyes. Is that right? The scripture shows that it wasn't something wrong with the man's 2 eyes. It was something wrong with his 3rd eye. He could see with these, but he couldn't see with this. So he had a perception problem, not necessarily a sight problem. He could see the men, but he seen the men as being bigger than what they were. But he was taught a teaching and seen men as they are. Elijah Muhammad made us that were deaf hear. Is that right? He made you and me that were dumb speak. He raised us that were lame, lazy as hell, doing nothing. He said quick thinking, fast moving, clean inside and out, right down to the modern time. He said to the FOI, lazy FOI shall not exist in the Nation of Islam. Didn't he say that? He said you don't have to ask what must be done. Just get up and go to work. Is that right? He said don't sit around waiting for the white man to give you a job. You get up and create a job for yourself. That's a lame man being made to a walking man. Jesus raised people from the dead. We dead right now, black nation. We mentally dead. This is the reason why we wore the name Negro or nigger. It was a name given by the white man as a title to the product that he made. Oh yeah, the white man made the niggers. God made a man. White people made niggers. The white man had a process that he employed called the milling process, the slave breaking process. 64 years from 55 to 1619, he broke black men and women. At the end of the process was no longer a king or a queen, no more a god or a goddess, no more a ruler, but a nigger. The word nigger or negro comes from the Latin word necro, which means dead from the neck up, or mentally dead. Black people have been made mentally dead. Am I telling the truth? Huh? So if someone is to raise us from the grave, then they raise us up mentally. Right? What is grave? A grave is that which is in the cemetery that holds the body down. Huh? In the universe, there's something called gravity. Huh? Base word of gravity is grave. Gravity is that unseen force holding you down. You and I have unseen forces in our own head that are holding us down. Elijah Muhammad came and broke them unseen forces that's been holding us down. We can keep on rolling with it. I'm telling you, Elijah Muhammad is that Jesus that you've been reading about. All praise is due to Allah. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. He was a light in the darkness, but the darkness comprehended him not. Is that right? He told what foods to eat and what to store in your house. Jesus didn't teach that 2,000 years ago. You can't read in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John how to eat to live. You don't read about no survival kit in Jesus' teaching. But come in the nation and find out what you learn. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
What if there are 12 or more details that match up Elijah Muhammad with the Jesus we've been reading about?
No.
Then it's a chance, possibility, probable that we are looking at the same type of man in a different era of time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Are y'all with me?
Yes, sir.
What if we are looking at the same man in a different era of time? There was a man by the name of Judas that betrayed Jesus. There was a group of people called the Pharisees and Sadducees, the Jews, that offered Judas 30 pieces of silver if he would betray Jesus. Jews, 30 pieces of silver to betray Jesus.
Come on now.
Jews, Warner Brothers, Spike Lee, $30 million to betray the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Justice is the eventual working out of the will of God. What about the Holy Quran? Malcolm began to turn hypocrite in 1963. The 63rd surah of the Holy Quran is titled The Hypocrite. Huh? In 64, he was silenced and not allowed to speak anymore for disobeying the messenger's instruction. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
He lost his post. He lost his position. He lost his ability to go and teach the people. Didn't he?
Yes, sir.
The 64th surah is called the manifestation of losses. He was assassinated in 1965. The 65th surah is titled Divorce. Divorce is not a temporary separation. Divorce is a permanent separation. The 66th surah is titled The Prohibition. Why? Because the hypocrisy that led to the manifestation of losses that ultimately ended in the total divorce or death of a man is a sign for you and me that it might be a prohibition not to go in the way of that man that has gone before you and me. All praises are due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. You say, I heard he left the nation because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was messing with some girls. And that's the way the nigga talk. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad did not have sex with teenage secretaries. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad did not have some affair with other women. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad had more than one wife. Yes, he did. Why did he have more than one wife? When did he pick more than one wife? See, you that want to say that he was a player, huh? That he was a womanizer. At a certain age, a man loses the inclination for lust. Man in his 20s and his 30s, huh? He still is heavily inclined. Man gets in his 40s, he's still heavily inclined. But you ever heard the saying, over the hill? Huh? Huh? Over the hill meaning you're going down now. There's a reduction in the drive. Huh? After 40. There's a reduction in the inclination to superficial things of this world after 40. This is the reason why when Malcolm X was killed, he was 39. Because the white man knows that 40 is the age of maturity. And if the man is not distracted by the superficial things after 40, then he becomes a greater man after he's 40 years of age. I'm telling you, this is the reason they killed the man. Look at Martin Luther King, assassinated when he was 39 years of age. The enemy knew that if these men were giving them this much hell, yet they have not yet reached maturity, then if I let them reach maturity, it's over for us. Hell, I'm 31 right now. Wait till I get 40. I'm going to shut this damn cracker all the way down by Allah's grace. All praise is due to Allah. Say, how you know that for sure? I don't know it for sure. But damn it, I'm going to try it with every fiber of my being. I don't know about you, Muslim. I didn't come in the nation of bullshit. I came in here to kick the devil's ass and bring God's world into reality. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. Malcolm was making an excuse. A divine man of God is not only blessed as a man, but his seed is also blessed. Abraham had to go into Hagar. Huh? God instructed him to do it because his wife Sarah was barren. Is that right? He had to go into Hagar. And Hagar brought birth to a child by the name of Ishmael. The last one comes in the volume of the book. Well, if it comes in the volume of the book, then the last one will manifest characteristics of all the major prophets that came before him. So Abraham had a wife named Sarah, and Elijah Muhammad's wife name was Clara. Huh? Hagar brought birth to Ishmael, and Tinetta brought birth to Ishmael. Is that right? Moses had 100 ministers.
Yes, sir.
And a Korah rose up in the midst of them, and 100 of the ministers betrayed Moses in his absence. When Elijah Muhammad left the sea, there were 100 ministers in the nation. And a Korah rose up, and 100 ministers betrayed Elijah Muhammad when Elijah Muhammad was no longer there. Huh? Noah taught everything he had. Built the ark on dry land. But he had a son that didn't want to follow the way of the Father. Didn't want to help build the ark. When the flood came, he chose an alternative course to save himself and wound up being drowned. Elijah Muhammad had a son by the name of W.D. Muhammad that didn't want to build the ark like Elijah Muhammad said build it. He didn't want to choose the path of salvation Elijah Muhammad, his father, chose. He wanted to climb to the top of a damn mountain instead of following the Nation of Islam's way. All praise is due to Allah. Whenever you have a seed that is blessed, that means inside of the seed is the inherited preparation. The blood of a messenger of God is different. Do you know that teachings and ideals can mess your blood up? Yes, they can. Fasting is not just, it ain't for no weight loss. Huh? Fasting is a blood purifier. There's a hadith Prophet Muhammad said that Satan desires to come at Adam in the straight path. Parentheses, it says the blood of man as the straight path. And Satan has infiltrated the blood of man, and the only way to get rid of the Satan in the blood of man is to starve the man. So fasting becomes a purification and the getting out of the devil of you. Well, hell, if the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the devil is more of a teaching than it is a color. That means devil is an idea. Devil is information. Devil is falsehood. Well, if falsehood is the devil and the devil is in the blood, That means that ideas and opinions and habits, teachings are in the bloodstream. Is that right? So whenever the white man taught you wrong, he put it in your DNA. The lies of the enemy are in our bloodstream. Is that right? So by fasting, we starve the lies in the blood. Well, if the devil can get into the blood, how come God can't get into it? And if the devil is more of a teaching than it is a color, then God is more of a teaching than it is black man. So the idea, the teaching of God can be put in the blood of man. Is that right? And if the blood of man houses the teaching, and you are the messenger of God, which means that you have more of it in you than anybody else, then your blood is a higher grade of blood, because it is saturated and has been marinated in supreme wisdom. Therefore, when your blood goes into the womb of a woman, and brings birth to a male or a female from that woman, then in that blood is a higher quality of preparation than the average everyday human being. So why do all of that for a man and not allow that man to bring birth to a nation of people? Malcolm knew all of the stories and histories of the prophets. I said it was an excuse. You say, well, Malcolm went to Mecca and he seen white Muslims. I'm telling you, it was an excuse. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad had already taken him to Mecca 4 times. He'd been seeing white Muslims. He'd been seeing white folks making the pilgrimage. He'd been praying next to white Muslims. He also had been seeing racism in Mecca. He's seen the black servants in Mecca and the white Arab on the top. He's seen all of that too. That became an excuse, not a reason. The real reason was that there was the working out of the eventual will of God. Malcolm said, I see myself falling, but I can't do nothing about it. Boy, that's a hell of a thing to know you're falling. You can't do nothing about it. Y'all with me? Yes, sir. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that the stars that are in the universe sometimes die. Y'all right? Yes, sir. Each star that is in the universe is fueled by the particles of matter that move through the universe. That's right. The sun is a star. It is fueled by the gases and the particles that move through space. Y'all right? Yes, sir. Sometimes a star can collect too many particles from outside of itself. Right. And then that star becomes heavier than its own gravitational pull. Right. And then the star falls into what is called a black hole. Right. And the star dies. Yet the star's light is so profound and is so far away, we might see the light of that star that is dead hundreds of years after the star is even dead. Likewise, that is the same way stars of a people are. Malcolm was a star in the constellation of the Nation of Islam. But he was a star that began to collect particles from outside of himself. What are those particles? Malcolm, you know, really, you are really the one that's making the nation what it is. Malcolm, you really are. You know, I think Elijah Muhammad's jealous of you, man. Malcolm, how come you made the Muhammad Speaks, but you ain't hardly ever in the paper? Malcolm, why come the other laborers are living a certain way, but you ain't got the same stuff they have? How you working so hard, but yet you still don't have everything everybody else has? Malcolm, look at all the jealousy among the ministers. I say that you are a leader in your own right. These are particles of matter from outside of Malcolm as a star that are adding to the man, making him heavier than gravitational pull. Huh? The worst thing you can do, black man and woman, is when you know you're thinking wrong to go and find some niggas to validate your thinking. The worst thing you could do. There's a verse in the Bible, in the Amplified Bible, that says that when a person testifies a thing that is in their mind,
Yes, sir.
huh? And there are 2 or 3 witnesses that verify the testimony, then that testimony becomes confirmed and established. Huh? Have you noticed that you can go tell somebody, I think I'm coming down with the flu? Yeah. You ever did that before? I think I'm catching the flu.
Yes, sir.
Then you say it, right? Then the person says, well, you know the flu bug is going around right now. That's a witness verifying. Is that right? That's one. Then another person asks you, let me ask you something. Are you cold and hot at the same time? Yeah. Oh, yeah? You got headache? Yeah, that's the same symptoms that I had last week when I had the flu. Girl, I'm telling you, you got the flu bug. You had a common cold when it started, but you testified. 2 witnesses came and verified. And now by their verification, you put the word out that was realer than the thought was. Then they took their word and married it with your real thought and made the thought realer than what it was in your head. You took your opinion, right? Their opinions, put them together and ate it again. Next thing you know, you really do now have the flu. But you gave yourself the flu by getting verification from people that don't strengthen you but weaken your own thinking. All praise is due to Allah. Do you know that the body in its natural state has already a built-in automatic healing device? When it's in the natural state. As soon as something is going wrong, there's a natural automatic healing device in the body that immediately begins to work with the organs. Huh? To cure you of whatever's in you. It's not until you begin to think wrong, speak wrong, and get verification of your weakness that you find yourself sick and down. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's another lecture for another time. Because spiritually that could happen too. See, spiritually, when you live it in your natural state, when envy and jealousy and greed and selfishness and niggardliness and impatience pop up in your head, there is a natural, automatic healing device within self that is designed to cure you of your spiritual disease before it ever becomes known to the world. In your natural state. That's why Islam is not a religion. Islam is the nature of man. The more of a Muslim you are, the more physically and spiritually healed you can become. You don't need nobody to come and pray for you. You don't need nobody to come lay hands on you. Their hand ain't more powerful than your own hand. Their prayer for you ain't more powerful than the prayer for yourself. Heal yourself, pray for yourself. In your natural state, you can fix your own problem. All praise is due to Allah. In closing, I say that the FBI killed Malcolm X, not the FOI. Malcolm was assassinated in the Audubon Ballroom, 1965. Someone came to Malcolm and told Malcolm, look, let's stop doing it the old way. All this searching stuff, man, it ain't necessary. Let's not have no search procedure today. Malcolm said, fine, no search procedure. First time he ever had a meeting without a search procedure, he was assassinated. The man that talked him out of the search was his head of security. Security people don't think like that. Not if you sincere. The head security man watched the tape again. Was standing like these brothers are standing. But he was not an FOI. He was an FBI agent. He requested relief. Huh? Walked off the stage. And when he walked off the stage, he stood over behind the curtain. And you see him looking.
Yes, sir.
He's constantly peeking his head out. What is he thinking? What the hell's taking y'all so long?
Yes, sir. Look at it.
Huh? Man rises up and begins to fill Malcolm with bullets. The security man runs over there. FBI. Clears everybody out, everybody away. Man got gunshot wounds. He gets down on his knees and begins to perform mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. The worst thing you can do to a gunshot victim is put more oxygen in their blood. They're already losing too much. The man was an FBI agent. He came on television years later with tears in his eyes, saying that he knew for sure Malcolm was to die that day. And he knew for sure he was the one to make sure that he was dead. I didn't give him mouth-to-mouth to save him. I gave him mouth-to-mouth to kill him. He ain't never did a day of jail in his life. His identity has been made a secret. In the J. Edgar Hoover files of COINTELPRO, the agents' names that broke up the nation are not mentioned, and it says, for the need of future use. Meaning that what they tried then that worked, they are going to try it again. Yes, they are. They will try to create division in the nation again. They will try to turn a spokesperson against their leader, teacher, and God. They will do, as it says in their language, exacerbate tensions among the ministry class. The FBI killed Malcolm. And the brothers that got arrested the day of, 4 men got arrested right there in the room. The people grabbed them. 4 brothers got arrested. The next day, they only reported 2 people got arrested. What happened to the other 2? No record of them nowhere. Huh? The 2 men that wind up going to jail were not even the 2 men that was arrested in the Audubon ballroom. They went and got them from their house and put them in jail for 27 damn years. A crime they did not commit, just so they could blame it on the Nation of Islam. The white man don't love Malcolm. He ain't never loved him and he never will. Why all of a sudden you got a Malcolm X Boulevard white man? Why all of a sudden there's an X phenomenon white man? Why would you make a movie about a man that called you a devil white man? Huh? What was you doing? Why would you put him on a stamp? It's because they tried to use Jesse Jackson against Farrakhan, but he ain't been powerful enough. They went after Sharpton, but he ain't been powerful enough. They went after Kwesi and Fume, but he wasn't powerful enough. So they couldn't find no living leader to contend with Farrakhan. So they raised Malcolm from the grave so that you wouldn't love Farrakhan the way you're supposed to love him in the modern time. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. Malcolm X is in your lessons. I'm closing officially. It's very important for us to know these things. Have you noticed that out of all the things that Malcolm studied, he's most known for the reading of the dictionary? Everybody and their mama got a dictionary. And it has never turned nobody into a Malcolm X. But justice is the eventual working out of the will of God. So what was God's hand on making the dictionary stay in the public? Why was the dictionary to stay in the public? The dictionary is a book that describes words and word meanings. The dictionary is a book that gives the foundation of the English language. Muslims, you and I have been given a lesson called English lesson. C1. Dictionary and English go hand in hand. Y'all all right? The rise, the fall, and death of Malcolm is all in English lesson C1. Y'all all right? Malcolm X, whenever he left the nation, he was given the word about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's domestic life from Elijah Muhammad's son, W.D. The trader made an interpretation. Yes, he did. He told him that I advise you to go out and start your own movement. I don't know if he himself, but everybody else said it. What did John Hawkins say? You can receive more gold than what you're earning in your own country. Leave and start your own movement, Malcolm. And you can get more accolade, more fame, more riches than what you're earning in your own nation of Islam. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
When we came to America, our names were changed. Is that right? Malcolm X, after he received the interpretation, they could get more gold outside the nation than what he was getting in the nation. He changed his name to El Hajj Malik Shabazz. If he was totally disconnected from Elijah Muhammad, why would you take on the name Shabazz? Shabazz ain't in Afghanistan. There's no Shabazz in Iraq or Iran or Saudi Arabia. Shabazz is a name that Elijah Muhammad taught. Is that right? I'm telling you, Malcolm wanted to be in the nation still.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He tried to get back. Huh? What happened when we wanted to come back to our own country? After we went out there and we couldn't receive more gold than our own labor when the damn trader made an interpretation. We wanted to go back to our own country, but we could not swim 9,000 miles. The number 9,000 is 9,000. 9 is the number that represents completion and perfection. A comma is that which appears to help you pause and reflect. Elijah Muhammad had Malcolm in a process that was completing him and perfecting him. But a comma came in his life. When he heard the trader's interpretation, he paused and reflected and looked back at the perfect program that was completing him and everybody else. And instead of saying, after he paused and reflected, I'm staying with the 9, he decided to move forward and gamble and wind up getting 3 zeros out the deal. Huh? Physical, mental, and spiritual death. Blind, deaf, and dumb all over again. Triple nothingness is what he became. He did no real great accomplishments as El Hajj Malik Shabazz. Everything we know about Malcolm he did as Malcolm X. Am I telling the truth? His greatness is connected to him being with Elijah Muhammad. And every pioneer that ever been in the nation that didn't flip the script and became some other type of believer. You don't have nothing to take pride in. But what you did when you was with the Georgia-born black man called Elijah Muhammad, you ain't done a damn thing since. All praise is due to Allah. The trader made an interpretation. Malcolm realized that he was not going to get more gold. So he wanted to come back in the nation. He wrote a letter letter to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, asking to get back into the ranks. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, Malcolm, we would love to have you back, brother. He said, the only problem is I'm asking you to go and put out the fires that you have already started. Think about this for a second. Swim 9,000. Swimming is something you have to do when you get in what? Water. What do you put out fires with? So the putting out of the fires with water and the swimming of 9,000 miles go hand in hand. The trader's interpretation go hand in hand. The dictionary and the English lesson C1 go hand in hand. Malcolm's rise and his fall and his death was all the eventual working of the will of Almighty God Allah. The lesson in it is what? Never think you all that. Don't allow yourself to start getting fed. You are, wow, you are, boy, I swear, you are. Hell, people can say it, but don't allow it to be what defines you. I don't care how heavy you are. The earth don't recognize you. You can be 300 plus pounds, but you can't get through the earth. Can you? Earth holds you up and ain't tripping. Is that right? Don't matter how big or powerful you think you are. You think you're big and powerful. Go stand next to Mount Everest. See how little you really are. The greatest man and woman on earth, when they die, the earth don't reflect. The earth don't slow down. Fly all the trees at half staff. The earth keep on traveling. 1,037 and 1/3 miles per hour. The earth take that same great man and woman's body and breaks that thing down just like he did the bomb and the pestle. Turns it into the same type of dust. Is that right? The same worms that ate the bomb eat the great man and woman. Ain't none of us a damn thing. We only are great in Allah. If Allah decides to use us, all praise is due to Allah. So Malcolm became an example of how hypocrisy can lead to a manifestation of losses. And manifestation of losses can lead to divorce. As an example of a prohibition, Surah 66, for you and me. Let's learn the lesson of time. You can either beat history or repeat history. I say let's learn the lesson. Let's beat the hell out of history once and for all. Thank you for listening. I greet you in peace. Hi, assalamu alaikum. Oh, praise. You didn't get that from your damn cut man, Muhammad Ali. You got that intelligence, insight, and courage from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Oh, praises are due to Allah. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad took a man by the name of Cassius Clay. The Holy Quran says that I, Allah, created man from sounding clay. Clay that can talk, but clay that don't know nothing. Clay that got a lot to say, but ain't got nothing to say. A clay that got a mouth, but don't have nothing in his head to speak nothing with. That's how Muhammad Ali was. He was a man that talked a lot. Had a lot to say, but didn't have nothing in his head to marry with what he wanted to say. But it was a man by the name of Elijah Muhammad that took a piece of sounding Cassius clay and began to mold him in the shape and breathe into that sounding clay of his own spirit. And Cassius clay became Muhammad Ali, known all over the world. He went to the rumble in the jungle, didn't he? To fight George Foreman. George Foreman got off the plane with a German Shepherd. Didn't settle well with the Africans, because that was the same dog that the South African white people used to sick on the babies of the African people, used to sick on the African women of South Africa. So when George Foreman got off with that dog, they said, oh, it's something different about that Negro. Huh? Something wrong with that Negro. Here he is with a German Shepherd. He was the one that turned the language from Mr. Muhammad to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He was the one that decided to initiate the Muhammad Speaks newspaper. Instead of us writing a weekly article from the Messenger in the Pittsburgh Courier, he said, let's start our own newspaper. Is that right? Malcolm X, a great spokesperson for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, would go and search the map and find cities, towns, nooks and crannies wherein the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was not yet established. And he would go and spend days and weeks sometime in those realities until there was a temple coming in the very near future.
That's right.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
None of us are qualified to judge Malcolm.
That's right.
Is that right?
That's right.
For Malcolm X has in truth raised more people and brought more people into the nation dead than many of us have brought in while we are alive. Is that right? Malcolm X was a great black man. Malcolm X was a powerful black man. Malcolm X was a courageous black man. Well, Malcolm X was a studied, a learned, and intelligent black man. Is that right? However, we in the nation have a problem. When you take a man like Malcolm that is wise, that is intelligent, that is courageous, that is bold, and not give credit to the man that made him all of that, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we got a problem with that. Some people have the nerve to say that I like Malcolm, but I don't really like Elijah Muhammad. That's like saying that you like an apple, but you don't like the tree that produced the apple. You like the citrus taste of an orange, but you don't like the tree that produced the orange. Malcolm X was not made by himself. That man was manufactured by a Georgia-born black man that met with God face to face and taught and raised Malcolm. If you look at the names of the great students of Malcolm, you will find that in their name is the conversion process right in the name. Here you got a man that is now known as Muhammad Ali. He was known as Cassius Clay. Is that right? And if he had not met the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he would have been nothing more than a great boxer in the ring. But it was the teachings of Elijah Muhammad that made him stand up against the government of America. It was the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that he said, I'm not going over there to Vietnam to fight my brown brother. He said, ain't no Viet Cong ever called me no nigga. You didn't get that from your trainer in the boxing ring.
When you know that and believe it, you start finding yourself coming on up out of the condition that you in. Is that right? So ain't nowhere in the world I can thank Allah for Master Farad Muhammad, thank him for the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and thank him for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But then when it come time for the man that acquainted me with these men, not thank Allah for that man? No, that is crazy. That's hypocrisy, brothers and sisters. That's not keeping it real. All praise is due to Allah. So this brother right here is acquainting us with the Lamb of God. This brother right here is connecting us on with our Savior. I don't know about you, but I need to be connected on with the Savior. I don't have a light of myself, but I know in him I got a light. Let's bring our beautiful brother up with a warm round of applause. Put your hands together for Brother Minister Nuri Muhammad. All praise is due to Allah. You need me to sign him right now?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, family. Before we start, let's give Brother Minister Reggie a round of applause for the powerful words of insight. All praise are due to Allah. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is indeed, without a shadow of a doubt, the messenger of God. We thank Allah for his intervention in our affairs in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And we thank him most for the intervention in raising up an example for black people. A man that made Muhammad Ali. A man that made Louis Farrakhan. A man that made Worth Dean. A man that brought birth to the Black Panther Party. If there was not for the supreme idea of black supremacy in God from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, there never would have been any talk about black people doing something for self in the nationalist movement. We thank Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who also made a man named Malcolm X. We are eternally grateful in this hour that we live in today for us being blessed with a divine reminder. For those of us that had the message but forgot the message, we thank Allah for that divine reminder. For those of us that never received the message, we needed the message. So we thank Allah for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It's in their names that I greet you in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum. Today we are taking on a very controversial subject titled Malcolm X, What Really Happened. Before we began to make this discussion, we want to make it clear that when Malcolm was in the Nation of Islam working on behalf of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we loved that man. Is that right?